Okay. The reason that we made the announcement is that we are doing some investor presentations this week, and obviously we have to make sure that any information that we give out this week is made available to the wider market. I think there were two important things in that recent announcement. The first one regarding was the dividend. Last year, because the company had some very good financial performance, we were very pleased to announce our maiden dividend. We also announced our dividend, which we were making a distribution each year of 25% of our free cash flow. And that dividend will be made by two equal interim and final dividends. And in accordance with that policy, we announced an interim dividend of 3 cents per share. Obviously, that would imply a full year dividend of 6 cents per share. And what we announced was that we absolutely intend to pay a minimum of 6 cents per share in respect of last year, and in respect of the year we're in, 2019, we will also pay a dividend, again, a minimum of 6 cents per share. We think our dividend policy is very conservative at only 25% of free cash flow, and we want this dividend to be sustainable. We don't want to start paying dividends that sort of go up and down. So you could almost say that possibly we're setting a floor for what the company can comfortably afford. Obviously, if the company does better than that and free cash flow gives us a bigger dividend, we'll be more than happy to pay it. But I think the purpose of that announcement was really to make shareholders appreciate that, we're not a flash in the pan dividend payer. We want to pay a sustainable dividend. The second important part of that announcement was we announced a resource for the Gadir underground mine. Part of what the company's been trying to do over the last few years is to really get proper JORC standard resources out for all of its mines, which is the main open pit, the Ugon mine, and the Gadir underground mine. And this was the final resource that we had to announce. And I think the importance of this is that we now have the resources in the marketplace of our three mines, and that this gives us a mine life until at least 2024. So I think that is more important than the amount of the resource per se, and I think the company can now see that it's got at least 5 years of operation ahead of it, just on its published resources. That's a very good question. It's a question we've been asked a lot recently. What are the growth drivers of the company? Obviously, over the last few years, we've taken the company to a very much better place than it was in terms of its financial position, its sustainability of its production. And we now have a very good, solid platform upon which we can build. We see various areas where we can grow the business. Obviously, we have a very large amount of land under concession, over 1,000 square kilometres, and we really have only just started looking at what's there. So last year, we started off a 3-year rolling geological program of exploration, and the main part of that last year was we did a helicopter geophysical survey, of which we're still awaiting the results. Hopefully, we'll be able to enlighten people on that by the end of this month, which is now March, so time flies. And we think that there is some good organic growth opportunities. In the last, since 2015, we've actually found and opened 2 new mines, so we actually have a history of being able to find mineral resources and develop them on the Gedabek lease. Obviously, we're ambitious to grow the company, and if opportunities were to arise outside of Azerbaijan, I think we would obviously look at them. We don't want to move outside the region because obviously managing things at a long distance is difficult, and we want to make sure that we're in a jurisdiction where we feel we're comfortable with. Some of the jurisdictions in our part of the world are quite difficult to deal with. So obviously we are looking and we're ambitious to do that, but it's not something you can do overnight. So that's something that we're keen to do, but takes time. The other growth driver is Audubad. We have a big concession in the Nakhchivan region, which is the Audubad property. There's some very big Soviet resources, or there's some very big potential resources there according to the Soviet data. And we're actually now starting to ramp up our geological exploration work to really see what is there. Now that is possibly going to be 3 or 4 years before we can do anything there. It's a fairly undeveloped region. So this is a much more early stage project. But in terms of where this fits in with the fact that we've got, 4 to 5 years on Gedebek as a minimum, this is something that potentially goes on after that. So we see ample opportunity for the company to grow, and we've got a very solid base of a cash generative property, and we're paying shareholders to our dividend, and we've got access to the finance to do it. So we think at the moment the company's in a very good spot, yes.